Hi everyone, welcome to the Smart Configurator for Modular Projects webinar. Let's go ahead and get started. The presentation today is going to be divided into 4 main blocks. The first one will be an introduction to Impararia, as well as our core services. The second one will be a brief overview of some projects that we've done here with the Smart Configurator. The third topic, which is going to be the core of this presentation, will be an introduction to what is the Smart Configurator as well as the different functionalities of it. And finally, at the end of the presentation, we're going to have a Q&A session, so don't hesitate to ask your questions during that period. You can use the chat and Teams to write your questions, and we'll be answering them accordingly at the very end. Before getting started, a brief introduction about our presenters today. So as for myself, my name is Huda Al-Namr. I am a project manager at Impararia Solutions for digital twin projects. My expertise is in BIM and in virtual design. I am an architect by training. Christophe?
Yes, Christophe Segara. I'm a digital engineering automation team lead at Impararia Solutions. I have a background as a mechanical designer, and since 2017, I'm a BIM specialist on 3D experience, and I'm leading automation projects on Katia. So today I will present you technically the Smart Configurator for modular projects.
Hi everybody, my name is Cesar West. I'm with Dassault Systems based out of Toronto, and I have over 20 years experience inside of the software industry, specifically with AEC, with my architecture, engineering, and construction colleagues. I'm looking forward to today. We've got some great presentations as far as the configuration goes, and I hope to twist it into some value for you as a business owner as well, delivering for your clients something that helps automation and a higher level of delivery service. Thank you.
Thank you. So, who is Impararia? Our team is a team of experts in integration and implementation projects. We use the latest digital design technologies, either for managing projects or for modeling. Our aim is to lead the construction industry towards a digital and centralized way of working. We want to allow companies to be able to capitalize on past project intelligence that they've created. This could be for simple projects or for complex projects. How do we do this? So we have three main core services. The first one being our integration services, second one being outcome-based modeling, and the third one being our R&D core. We'll get into this a bit more later on. We have different partnerships with different companies. So we are Dassault Systèmes software partner. We have a silver partnership level. We are also a certified system integrator with Dassault Systèmes. We are also an ADN, Autodesk Developer Partner. This allows us to develop different apps and add-ons using Autodesk softwares. And on the screen, you see a couple more of our partners. Here's just a brief overview of the different clients that we've had throughout the years. So some of them are located in North America, such as Hydro-Québec, and BRP. We have other clients that are located in the Middle East, such as NEOM, and some are located in Europe, such as Amberg Engineering. A quick overview of the activities. So these are the 3 core services that I've mentioned earlier. So integration services include everything from implementing a common data environment, where you're able to have dashboards to manage different project information, where you're able to use different applications for either project management, follow-up, issues management, and so on and so forth. We also offer configuration and customization of this platform. We are a licensed reseller for Dassault software. We also do data integration, so consolidating different data from different softwares into a common data environment. And we offer training and workshops on these processes and procedures. The second main activity are our outcome-based modeling services. So to summarize this quickly, these are services that we offer to clients where we create a complex 3D model for them, either because they don't have the expertise or they don't have the applications to be able to create such a model. So the Smart Configurator can fall in this category, or it can also fall into integration projects. So in this case, what we do is we provide a ready-to-use model to the client. We also do template creation, parameterization, automation of different aspects of the model should it be required, so automations are included as well. Finally, our R&D core is what I mentioned a bit earlier on. It's our capabilities of being able to develop add-ons and applications, not only for Autodesk softwares, but for different types of softwares as well. We've developed them with the different manufacturers as well. A few of our sample projects. So now we're getting into the second block of our presentation. Yeah. So the first one that I wanted to introduce to you guys is a project that we've done back in 2017. It's a project in France. It was a consortium with 3 other companies. The main goal of this project was to firstly define the requirements for the project, so define the needs of the client, define the as-is, so what is currently being done versus the to-be, what needs to be done to be able to achieve their goals. The project was mainly to create a digital twin of an existing building and to be able to associate IFC attributes to the different components of the building. The model, being a digital twin, was a very complex model, including all of the plumbing, electricity, all of the different systems of the building had to be modeled, and all of the attributes of those systems had to be mapped onto them. So we had to do not only so a portion of the project, as I said, was to model this. This was done by one of our partners, whereas we had to do the 3D coordinations of the different systems and the attributes definition on this digital twin. The purpose of the digital twin was to be used for facilities management on a daily basis, to be able to manage the different systems and to manage the different equipments by the maintenance workers. This is a quick glimpse of the project. So as you can see on the picture on the top right-hand corner, you have the actual equipment and you have the modeled equivalent. When you click on one of the objects in the 3D model, you see you get a view of the bottom right-hand corner. So you see the technical information of the equipment. So this was a capability that allows us to add technical sheets onto the equipment, but we also were able to define attributes directly on the objects. The second project that I want to introduce to you is a project that is currently ongoing. It is also located in Europe, in France. So in this case, we had to implement a modular approach for product lines. A company that had different variations of the same product for a large-scale building wanted to model all of these components. The input data was low LOD Revit data. This was what we had to start with, and then we had to output high LOD designs and detailing using CATIA. So another aspect of the project was to manage updates to the Revit model that were received from the supply chain, and then once received and integrated into the system, to constantly maintain a level of LOD for 450. Finally, I just wanted to give you a quick view of one of our R&D projects. So the previous one was an outcome-based modeling, and then this one is R&D. So this is a connector that we've created with Revit that allows us to connect Revit data directly into a common data environment, in this case, the 3D Experience platform. What this means basically is that from within Revit, you can directly store your data in this PLM platform. You can store the .rvt files, the .rte. You can manage the lifecycle of these files once they're stored in the common data environment. You can attach them to tasks, to issues. Basically, you can use all of the functionalities of your common data environment on your Revit files. The second product that is shown on the screen is the converter for Revit. With this product, you're basically at the geometry level. So we're not talking about files anymore. We're talking about the actual 3D geometry, such as the roof, the windows, the doors, and so on and so forth. You're able to convert this data directly from Revit to the 3D Experience platform and to generate native CATIA data. Afterwards, once in CATIA, you're able to utilize all of the CATIA functionalities to be able to do clash analysis, interference check, model additional geometry on top of it. So this is very useful when you have different outputs from different softwares and you want to consolidate the design in a common environment. We have a sample project that we will present at the end of the presentation should we have time. If not, you'll be receiving this presentation that contains additional information at the end of the webinar. So let's go ahead and get into the core of the presentation, which is the Smart Configurator. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Christophe Segara.
Thanks, Uda. So what is a Smart Configurator? We'll start off with a quick explanation of what is a Smart Configurator. As a side note, for clarity purpose, the model used in this presentation is a simple modular home. By definition, a Smart Configurator is the process from which a wide range of construction deliverables are generated from one main parametric 3D model. This 3D model contains parametric options allowing users to generate different configurations, all from one main model. Deliverables such as bill of materials and production drawings are interlinked in the Smart Configurator. In parallel, each configuration and option of the modular home is defined in a common data environment. In this case, we are using the 3D Experience platform by Dassault Systèmes. Then the parametric model is linked with configuration and options. The second part of the Smart Configurator is an interface that allows users to centralize functionalities and navigate through configuration and option lists with manufacturer-suggested retail price. This customizable interface provides an ergonomic dashboard view to the users. The third component is the Smart Configurator's ability to provide bill of materials extracted from the 3D model configuration. General bill of materials of the home can be extracted as well as more granular bills of materials such as lumber, insulation, and drywall bill of materials. Fourth, the production of parametric drawings are also extracted from the Smart Configurator. They are always interlinked and updated depending on the model selected configuration. And the fifth main aspect are the rendering functionalities of the Smart Configurator. Live rendering of a product can be executed directly in the common data environment rather than just the 3D design interface. Therefore, the parametric model is not only available for designers, but is shareable with marketing folks, ensuring a single source of truth for all.
And Christophe, before you continue on, this is one of the things that I loved about this slide. From me, the customer meetings that I have, I always say, point number one, that's your customers or your clients coming in and asking you for a product, a house, a condo. And then you're off to the races from a manufacturing standpoint. 2, 3, 4, 5 are a bunch of other teams that need to work together. And so for those teams, it's all about taking the data and throwing it at a model, politely, and then the teams are working in a common data environment called 3D Experience in CATIA to deliver to the client number 5. I love that example that you've shown, Christophe. Thank you.
Thanks, Cesar. So now we'll delve into the core details of the Smart Configurator. To develop the Smart Configurator, we mainly use CATIA, the highly precise BIM CAD software. We integrated several customer inputs, mainly 2D, in CATIA to build this project. First, requirements were defined in CATIA to create the model with a top-down approach. We reused the existing CAD data coming from AutoCAD. We built parametric models to generate all configuration of the home using geometry standard tools, but also we built generative templates because CATIA offers a lot of knowledge tools to achieve complex automation. And based on customer component catalog, component families have been defined to build a catalog accessible to users. And all the models were inserted from these component families. Also, the engineering rules analysis were computed directly on the model to ensure the integrity of the product. And all these tools embedded in 3D Experience gave us the result to have the modular home built in the 3D Experience.
Before you move on, if you just go back for a second, Christophe, sorry about that. I always do this to you. Many people that I speak with, they might say, hey, Cesar, so what do we need to do what you're talking about? How do we get a higher level of functionality? I kind of simplified by saying, you're looking for CATIA. But CATIA really is a premier-based modeling software. Yes, it does the BIM. Yes, it does all kinds of things like you see there. But the one thing that sets CATIA apart is that it lives and breathes on the 3D Experience platform. That's a big deal. It's like if you took your oldest piece of software and you reprogrammed it from your favorite software that's using today and you put it on a common data environment, that's CATIA. It's been reprogrammed to access the data that Christophe is showing, and the rules and analysis and engineering capabilities of it. It's all running data on a platform, which was very unique. It allows it to be the premier modeling and management tool that it is today. Sorry for interrupting one more time. Thank you very much for Christophe.
Continue to interrupt me. That's okay. So let's see now the Smart Configurator in action and how configuration and options are handled. The user can simulate Smart Configurator configuration and options directly this kind of interface. We are in a 3D Configurator application, and for example, we can change here the exterior coverings from one style to another one. Also, by combining configuration selection, visual tools such as the live clipping of the model, everything combined, we can get an immersive navigation in the house detail as per customer preferences. When we talk about configuration, it can be an option. It can be a minor option like the siding, color, but it can be more complex, such as, for example, here, the entire kitchen. So to perform simulation of configuration, we are still in CATIA and we are reusing the Smart Configurator. We don't need to export the model in other software. Note also that we are exploring the engineering model. That means that we can simulate a configuration and analyze live if this new configuration is in adequation with the home structure or the water line, for example. Now, in this video, you will discover the central parametric model, which is the core model to produce the next configurations. So this is a parametric digital twin of one product line. The strategy that we showed is to optimize the reusability of every component. So to build the Smart Configurator, first we build this smart model. This model is fully parametric. That means that all dimensions, configurations, options, parametric text, mass, everything is driven by a dedicated parameter. Obviously, we can combine many parameters by mathematical formulas to obtain the required values. The parameters can be triggered and propagate and update at each level of the model. So in this example that we saw, the layout of the home could change from 56 feet to 66, and floor, walls, roof, everything was updated. Even a second bathroom can be added in the second layout configuration. Also, excuse me, let's go.
No. Go ahead and finish your thought there.
Yeah, I just want to say that Windows quantities, position are also updated according to this parameter change. Let's go, Cesar.
So what I was going to add to this is, because this model really reflects the previous slide, you don't have to go back to it, but when the customer is choosing the options, you as a company, you set up the options to what your factory is ready to do. Or if you're a contractor, what your construction crew is ready to do. The nice thing about this is you can take, as Huda said, a low level of detail of Revit model if you wanted to. But realistically, you can start within CATIA. We have the basic tools to start low-level modeling. But then CATIA lets you ramp up to fabrication level detail. And so that's what Huda was showing is, life is that if you're bringing in other data, bring it in at a low level of detail, because what Christophe is showing here is CATIA will allow you easily to add flashings, sill plates, anchor bolts, concrete detailing. This is the stuff that makes estimating no longer just guesswork. It's a true bill of materials based on what that model is representing. And with the automation that Christophe is giving you, automation is going to relieve your modelers of the agony of adding every single anchor bolt to a concrete sill plate or to every piece of flashing to a window. That's the automation that Christophe is bringing to this configurator. You don't want to model those pieces one at a time. You want to have automation be your best friend, and that's where this really starts to shine for anybody doing prefab, smart configuration, or just better delivery for customer service. Thanks, Christophe.
Thanks, Cesar. So I continue, and maybe Uda, yeah. I will let you introduce this the product configuration and option.
Yeah, just go ahead and play the video for me. So in this clip, what you're seeing is the web interface side of the Smart Configurator. So you have two interfaces. What you saw initially was the design phase, the design interface, and here you have the web interface where you can manage the different options of your model, as you see on the screen. So blue, red, and such. You're also able to group these options under different configurations. So in this case, for this product, we have 3 configurations, and each configuration has specific options that you can select, which is what Christophe showed earlier in the previous video. The different options that are selected for a specific configuration of a specific product can be exported into a CSV sheet. So you have different outputs that are available, either Excel, CSV, HTML, and then you can visualize the client selection in a Microsoft software. Go ahead, Christophe. Oh, this is them actually.
Yeah, and yeah, what Huda was talking about as far as the Excel spreadsheets, what that solves is some current existing workflows today that you might not want to abandon, right? So if you're transitioning from one sets of products or processes as a business, you just can't say, I want to, start CATIA tomorrow and do all of these great things. It's like a road that you have to merge into your processes, the platform. You have to merge into your processes level of automation. But once you start to go down this path, this is where you can turn off old processes. So for example, this is really important. You cannot generate an MSRP or a base cost based on an LOD 200 or 300 model. And you cannot do it quickly if you are using old processes of, I create a model, I'm going to do a best guess based on, the floor square footage cost per, cost per square footage. Those are estimations. Those aren't MSRPs. Can't go to the bank and say that we're going to be building buildings with estimations. You have to come up with some real things. So this is an example of taking a change of process. Your business, if it didn't do level of development 450, high level, you really need to change gears if you want to do this. And what this gives you is, I'm going to speak specifically about that Smart Configurator screenshot that's right there. This is allowing people to work in the platform, because it's the single view of the platform as a dashboard. This dashboard view can let you talk to the clients, your customers, about what they just ordered. The salesperson that's dealing with other people downstream, like the inside sales, dealing with the operations group as to, we sold 3 of these houses, what's included with it? This dashboard is used for multi-purpose talking across teams. It's the same data though. That's the big difference here. It's not the sales guy showing an Excel spreadsheet of how many homes he built and giving it to operations to turn it into something else. So this is really important. It's a higher level of detail, first of all. It's a second thing, it's the availability of information to be displayed clearly. You have the 3D model of the floor plan on the left-hand side. You have a list of the customer requirements, your client requirements in the middle. You have an end 3D rendering on the right-hand side. This dashboard is up to you as to what you want to see at the end of the day, but it helps seamlessly cover different team members or different groups as far as all the way to operations and fabrication and delivery. That's the beautiful thing about generating a high level of detail on a platform. I'll stop there.
Okay, we continue. So each component of the model has its manufacturer's suggested retail price defined directly in the database. Once this component is inserted in a home model, the price will serve to calculate the base cost of the home. Once again, the intent is to retrieve the cost directly in the configurator without post-process. So you can see we get the best price in the interface directly. Also, the Smart Configurator allows us to extract production drawing directly through one configuration. For example, here in a wall assembly, once the configuration is selected, the drawing is updated as per the 3D model. So this drawing is generated from a template, which is defining the title block, the layout, the style, and such. And the table here and the view is coming from the 3D just after the selection of the configuration. The strategy of the Smart Configurator is to increase the reusability of components, but also the deliverables. For the report, we use the same strategy, meaning to create a robust report template, including customer data, which will be accessible to everyone all the time. The same report can be launched during the design to verify the concept, and also at the end to produce the deliverable itself. So thanks to the high level of detail of the Smart Configurator, we can extract quantities of lumber by size and length, insulation panels, drywall, even quantity of nails. Actually, link a drawing to the 3D model is not a big deal, but to build a template to satisfy all the configuration of a product, we require automation. So once we developed the drawing automation, it had been included in the smart model to get an automatic generation after the configuration. So the strategy is to build the most automation directly in the smart model at the beginning of the project. And the configuration will just prevent the result of all the automations.
And one of the things I wanted to add here, Christophe, was I was in a very large U.S. home builder a couple of years ago, and they said, hey, we have a real challenge with the number of documents and the number of files that we have to manage. So they were actually looking for something to manage documents. But the real problem at the end of the day wasn't document management. They had to manage all of the different model types that they would provide to customers and all the different variables or options that they would offer customers as far as their model types. You know, it is a real catch-all kind of problem, because it came down to we have a lot of models. We try to whittle them down to, you know, a handful of models. We try to whittle down the configurations down to a few different configurations, but it's almost like an exponential variable. If you had to do the math of, if we had 3 model types, then we would have like 300 different document types that we would have to manage throughout the entire life cycle. What you're talking about is you have some master models, but then you have the data that's actually driving these master models, and the byproducts of the data and the master models are the drawings that are getting exported out or, you know, managed by the platform as well. But at the end of the day, you could recreate those drawings, I think is what you're saying. You could recreate those drawings based on the automation now. So as long as you keep the model and you keep the data, the drawings will be the byproduct that you can, you know, give or take to your customers or to your fabrication shop. You don't have to worry about managing drawings anymore, I think is what you're really saying here too for your customers.
You're right, Teva. It's exactly the purpose of the automation here. It was we started the project with this mining, in fact. Also, just other example of automation on drawings. Here you can see that you have a parameter, a basic parameter, a length parameter in the 3D, which is driving the position of one bathroom. And just by changing this dimension, the 3D is updating, and because the drawing is linked to the 3D model, your deliverables will update also with just this parameter trigger. Also here, another example, when, for example, we linked the ice maker pipe directly with the kitchen model, and when we change the kitchen layout, the drawing, the pipe itself is adapting. Also, the 3D in CATIA, we can also export the drawing in DWG format. So that allows us to continue to work in AutoCAD, for example, or other software. Here we are just seeing the DWG compatibility, but that means you can continue to annotate your drawings in another software if your manpower is not trained in CATIA, for example. Now, let's talk about the rendering of the model. So here we use the live rendering native app of the 3D Experience platform to produce high quality images with shadows, reflections, and panoramas. Once the master model was done, we applied customer material and substances on each component of the smart model. Then, when the user is executing the configuration, materials are already in place on the model. Also, we produce high-quality videos with a custom environment created with ambiances. To make videos, we even reuse some wireframe features to position cameras. The real-time visualization of images and videos was helpful to quickly converge to customer wishes. We had the question, why don't you use 3ds Max or Lumion to render? The answer was simple. I don't need to manage exports and versions of the model. In CATIA, the rendering is integrated directly in the smart model. But when the time comes to make images and videos, it's effortless to produce the rendering. It's even a feature in the model structure, in the product structure, for those who are knowing CATIA. So that means that we could modify the rendering object because it's linked with the model. And that is very, very powerful because we integrated this rendering directly in the first smart model, which is containing all the parameters. So we don't need to redo all the time the rendering on all the configuration. The main structure of the rendering is already embedded in the model when you choose your configuration. So it's user-friendly to just share the model in the same collaborative environment.
I think one of the things, before you switched off of that and before we go to Q&A, the one thing that I'd like to add is, from my experience overall, that's like the rendering's a super big deal. It's not a big deal to me because I can visualize things. It's not a big deal to an architect because they can visualize things, or the designer, or the fabricator, the people that are building these houses or condos or whatever the case is. The rendering is important for the customer, your clients. So the big deal that I really want to hammer on is that what Christophe has showed, if you didn't pick it up already, he's rendering the actual fabrication, engineering, design data. He's rendering on it. He said it, I heard him, you don't have to export this information out to get rendering. Why? Because it's so easy to do right within CATIA. CATIA is a multi-use Swiss Army kind of tool. It can go high-end, and it can go simple if you wanted to do some simple things. The big deal, though, is for every project that you would have to do using a variety of tools, they need to go across maybe 3 or 4 different people. That you have to give a tool to the customer to be able to start seeing the rendered product. So that's your customer, your client. And then secondly, you have to be able to have somebody remodel what the client needs sometimes. That's another tool in another situation. And then you would have to export that data out to some other rendering tool, like Christophe was saying, to get the final rendering, and then you would get that rendering back to the customer. So in this case here, this this is like building your next automobile online through configuration and having the machine basically render it for you and come up with an MSRP automatically. This is just fantastic because it's still the same data. It is the engineering data. There is no wishy-washy artist rendering here. This is all based on fact, and without the import-export. And the last thing I'll leave it on, some offices might spend up to 10 hours if you had to accumulate. How much time does it take to import, export, or in reverse, export and then import and then export again? How much time does that take to set up the system to do that for your current tools? At some offices, there's like 10 hours a week of just, stuff for them to do. Whereas in here, it's a much quicker turnaround and it's concise, accurate data. You don't have to mix words. That's exactly what it is. Thanks, Christophe.
Thanks, Cesar. You're right. And also, I didn't mention that we can manage the rendering in CATIA like we are managing a wall template, for example, a model template. It can be set up in the first model, and we can easily reuse it. So it's very powerful to and minimize the process to produce that, because it's like to produce the drawings. If you have to produce each time your drawings or your bill of materials, you are repeating the same process, and you are not efficient. And with the rendering, is the same. It can be the same process directly in CATIA. So for me, it ends the presentation for today. So I hope you found it interesting, and so if you have some questions,
yeah, type them into the chat window. I think we had some questions also come in. I saw a few. Huda?
Yes. Just before jumping into that, Christophe, if you can just go to the next slide real quick.
yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to give out a little note. So we're having another webinar by our colleague Mansu Kim. He's a virtual automation architect with an expertise in AEC, BIM, and virtual design. So he'll be giving this webinar on the automation processes for prefabricated walls on September 10th at 12 p.m. Mansu, feel free to share the link to the presentation to your webinar in the chat. For those that are registered, you'll be receiving this updated presentation along with the link to join or to register if ever you're interested. So that's just a quick side note. I have received a few questions on a separate note. So Christophe, let me read them out to you. The first one is, what is the difference between the Smart Configurator and the Smart Model?
So the main difference between the Smart Configurator and the Smart Model. So the Smart Model is the first parametric model that we did directly in CATIA, and we added a lot of parameters inside. So it's just one model where all the parameters can change the layout of the home. For example, the position of one room, the ability to add one bathroom or to remove it. But it's still in one model, and we have to update the model to simulate all the changes. And when this smart model was defined and accurate, and the update was working well, we were ready to merge this smart model with the configuration and options. And so it was the second step of the process. And so the Smart Configurator is the result of the combination of the smart model and all the configuration and option, because configuration and option can be defined in a list, and we need to have at the end all the model of each configuration to be able to get the deliverables like drawings and bill of materials. So I hope he answered the questions.
Thank you. The next question, I can answer this one. Christophe, feel free to add on, is how does CATIA fall into the whole BIM process, collaborative perspectives? So just as a note, CATIA is a suite of different applications. To collaborate and to where does it fall? The first part of your question, where does it fall into the BIM processes? So when you're using CATIA and you're doing building information modeling, you have the capability of creating not only a 3D model and then to generate automatically all of your production drawings from your 3D model and then to be able to automate it as was shown earlier before. You're also able to create an intelligence to be able to templatize all of the aspects that you're designing. You're able to reuse these templates. So it really takes you to a whole new level of building information modeling because not only are you creating the same intelligence that you would in, for example, an Autodesk software, you're able to reuse this information in a very quick and efficient manner using the templates. And then for collaboration, how you collaborate using the CATIA software, I'll let Cesar or Christophe handle that portion.
Actually, I'd like to, I've been talking about BIM for so long, it's become second nature. Whenever I first started seeing the configurators that you guys built, as well as learning more, this is like way beyond BIM. Like this is BIM plus. This is like BIM is BIM. But this is like way beyond BIM because we are including everything that you need to build, manage, alter, reconfigure, and correct, schedule. If you could take BIM and put it into a common data environment, this is it. This is managing data. This is collecting as a federated model. Yes, we mentioned the name CATIA, but it is built on what's called the 3D Experience platform. That is a true platform because it lets you search for data. If you wanted BIM to really be useful to you and your clients and your consultants, you'd want it to have it to be in a common area where you can all go and, all go swimming in the same pool together and expect the same results because you're working on the same data, not siloed data. That's true BIM. And that's what we're talking about here today in the idea of adding configuration for automation. So, that's the high level of BIM plus, beyond BIM, whatever you want to call it. That's how it'd work as well. I do also see, feel free to answer further that question, Christophe, but I also see somebody had raised their hand. Andrew Bourget had raised their hand. Maybe they have a question that they wanted to speak to as well, but go ahead, Christophe.
Yes.
Yes, I can answer the question of Andrew. It say that if I understood correctly, you've made UDF engineering template, and then once this is a robust. You made an interface to facilitate the manipulation. Yes, you're right. So as a feature directly to build the model, so we use all the tools that CATIA provides to build automation. So we use the UDF, Power Copies, engineering template, but we also script in ETL to get more complex automation. And at the end, to package the Smart Configurator, also we created an interface for the user. It's a combination of all the knowledge tools in CATIA.
Good questions.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead, Uta.
Yeah.
I think if there is another question from
I see one from that's his. I'll take a stab at this one from a high level. Can you manage things outside of the database? Well, yeah, the common data environment. The marriage is it's a true marriage within Dassault systems. Like I said, making models, managing projects, seeing full bill of materials. If you wanted to improve your factory, if you want to improve the manufacturing, and you're doing these buildings, You can improve your factory with Dassault software as well. And you can simulate, you can do your simulation, and you can do your rendering. But the point is, within our true common data environment, you can do everything you want. Now, just to step back a little bit to say, well, Caesar, that's great, but can we link it out to other data? Yes, that's the thing about our data environment is the 3D experience can tie into outside data sources. So not only can we import models, but we can also link or tie into outside data sources. So if you're using another brand of software or another data source for managing your ERP, you can tie out to that to manage inventory of materials and stuff like that. So maybe I'm not answering your question specifically. Maybe Christophe, if you want to take a look at Baptiste's question as well.
Yes, to manage the object library and the data within it. We didn't show maybe this functionality. We talk a little bit about component families, but when you want to build quickly one library of one object, for example, you can create one model. It becomes your master model, and you can link to this model a spreadsheet containing all the configuration of your model, and there is an app in CATIA component family that allows you to quickly generate all the models and store them directly in a catalog or in a library. You can populate all the attributes, so your library is consolidated just by one master model. So this master model can be a part, but it can be an assembly too. So by thinking of that, if you have many components in your industry, in your company, and if it's fixed product, fixed part, or fixed assembly, is the best way to generate them quickly. Here, what we show, it was more custom dimension of arms, and the model was adaptive. So that's why everything was generated as per the parameter of the model. And how do you connect the database to build the model? We have also some commands directly in script to insert automatically during the automation. We can fetch and search directly in those libraries or those catalogs. Because we can fetch the name of the attribute, and depending on one condition, for example, we can insert or not, or replace one component by another one.
There's a question about, I see Jarvis had a question, can we achieve more complex designs? And I'd like to answer simply yes. You can achieve more complex designs. So the quick answer is yes. But then I'd like to step to the side a little bit to also say you can do configuration or automation on maybe a specific job that you have to do as a subcontractor or as a specialty contractor. So for example, using automation and configuration, you could be the next best curtain wall fabricator manufacturer in the world by using the same kind of approach that you configure extrusions to meet up with glass. And the nice thing about it is what Christophe showed was you set up the configuration so that it basically has everything that would do one piece of glass. The extrusions, the seals, the hardware, the anchor bolts, up to what they're connecting to. And that automated and configuration helps curtain wall manufacturers to really strive and excel at what they're delivering. And it doesn't matter what the curtain wall looks like. It could be straight like the box stores that you see downtown, or it could be some kind of a crazy curve, and the configurator with CATIA will, reshape the locations of the extrusions based on the rules. So you can have high complexity, but the big deal is CATIA doesn't limit you as far as how much detail you can throw at it. That is the real beauty. That's why it's a premier model-based tool. But then the platform manages the data on the backside, so you're not limited by data. So both of the best worlds are at your disposal.
Okay, so if there's any more questions, to please type it up in the chat. And then I've also posted our emails onto the chat. You'll also be getting them via the presentation. Don't hesitate if you want any additional information or if you have any additional questions.
And the idea behind today's presentation wasn't to make you all experts. It really was to give you a sample of what's possible out there. I love talking to customers about this because to me, it's like they discover the holy grail. This, like, how do they not know that Dassault was out here making tools and roles like this available to AEC? So it really is the best kept secret from AEC. Between Christophe and Huda and myself, I think we put in our email addresses in there. You can reach out to all of us and send us an email so that maybe with Impararia's expertise, you can become more knowledgeable. You can take that first, second, or third step into CATIA and the 3D Experience platform. Email me. I'm based in Toronto. I cover North America sales for CATIA. And Impararia is a full reseller. They sell and service their products. So they're experts at what they do, but they also sell and can give you the licenses, well, sell you the licenses that you require specifically for what you need. And all you have to do is say, hey, Impararia, I want CATIA, or I want the platform. And that would get you started. So reach out to us.
Great. Okay, so we can close it here. The recording, you'll be receiving it by email. Thank you, Christophe. Thank you, Cesar. And thanks to everyone who attended.
Excellent.
Thanks for the audience, and see you soon.
Au revoir. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.